Next, we consider a silicon shield, how talent, IT, and trusted supply chains make technology a security asset rather than a vulnerability open to, for open economies. Welcoming on stage are Dr. Lilyana Pavlova, a senior advisor at the Applied Research and Communications Fund and former vice president at the European Investment Bank, who will be navigating our next discussion. Also, Mr. Dobroslav Dimitrov, co-founder and the CEO of Raisen Technology, bridging a scale-up perspective from Europe's tech ecosystem. Joining us also on stage is Professor Changick Kim, the Dean at the Graduate School of Advanced Security Science and Technology, working at the frontier, where innovation meets national security. And last but not least, Dr. Todor Galev, CSD's Director of Research, who will be sharing with us insights on the policy aspect of integrating the silicon shield. Dr. Pavlova, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining our session. I'm glad to have our session with extended participation, which is great, because the topic of silicon shield and economic resilience, I believe, in the age of AI is also an important element of the overall discussion we have today. Because security nowadays is not defined only by borders, military power, or ammunitions and weapons. It is more and more shaped by technologies. Who designs them, who builds them, and who controls them. Technologies are powering our economies, our communication and intelligence systems, and our daily lives as such. And semiconductors, advanced computing, AI infrastructure, and talent behind them, because the talent, I think, is the critical word we need to emphasize on, have become strategic assets that even in some countries like South Korea, Taiwan, they become a form of a national shield. And I believe the whole idea of the silicon shield really emerged to describe how semiconductor leadership can translate into strategic resilience and economic sovereignty, a topic very high on the European agenda, because nowadays the discussion in Europe and the question is not only how to remain competitive, but really how to remain strategically resilient in the era of technologies and advanced computing. Our panel today will be focused around three pillars. First is to define the silicon shield and its dimensions and to hear some lessons learned from South Korea. Second element is we always talk about the innovation gap, but the second pillar will go around the question, can we compete or scale in Europe without a flagship industrial anchor? And last but not least, what is the role of strategic capital in building resilience? I believe we have excellent three complementary speakers today. And I will start with Todor Galev. Mr. Galev, tell us more. Please tell us and help us to launch this discussion by defining what silicon shield is. And it is really a strategic safeguard of our economies. But what shall we know?
Okay, thank you. So, silicon shield term was coined for Taiwan's strategic defense based on the dominance of Taiwan in global semiconductor production, actually, particularly in advanced chips. So, it's about deterrence through global interdependence, as maybe some of you know, but even China is still heavily reliant on semiconductors produced in Taiwan. So for that reason also the Euro-Atlantic cooperation in production of semiconductors, but not only, but also in all the AI infrastructure that is needed in the current days is very important. So European silicon shield refers to European efforts and strategies to secure its own semiconductor supply chain. And EU seeks to do this to build it through some initiatives like the EU Chips Act, which invest or at least aims to invest billions of euros into European chip makers. So this should involve not only investments, but also efforts for greater tech sovereignty and resilience against future disruption. And this was a strategy which actually came in force after the 2022 global chip shortage, which heavily impacted, as you know, especially European automakers, and in this case also Bulgaria, because as you may know, the Bulgarian automotive sector is very vital, and actually most of the European automakers rely on parts produced here in this country.
Thank you very much, Todor. Professor Kim, tell us more about South Korea's experience in building economic resilience and national security.
Yeah, I think I should start with the word sovereign, AI sovereign or AI sovereignty, because this our new government and president is actively pursuing AI sovereign. I think there are two kinds of sovereignty conducted currently. One is nationwide AI sovereignty. As you already are aware, like to combat disinformation campaign, who can we rely on actually? No one we can trust actually. So we need to have our own technology. And second, sovereignty is company-wise, I think. So I have many ex-students who are working in Samsung Semiconductor or SK Hynix. What they are doing actually is to generate, construct foundation AI models, because they have piled decades of experience and knowledge about semiconductor products, right? Then who can they ask to build the AI model? No one. So each company has their own try to construct their own AI foundation model specialized in semiconductor manufacturing. In addition, government-wise, what they are trying to, our just simple goal is to be number third in the world actually, because China and America, USA are too big to compete. So at least we try to be number third. That's our government goal. And at this moment, to compete with such big nations, other countries should have big collaborations. And I arrived 2 days ago, and I recognized that Bulgarian technological level is way higher than my expectation. Yesterday I visited the research institute GATE, okay, that is especially specialized big data analysis. And also this afternoon I'm supposed to visit Insight. I know they are very proud of their technological level in AI. Okay, so I think Bulgaria and Korea are very good, can be a good partner before we eventually have sovereignty. Okay, at this moment, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Kim. We're really hopeful that our two countries could join efforts in this area. Mr. Dimitrov, as a deep tech founder in Europe and Bulgaria, what do you think is the most significant vulnerability preventing scale in Europe in the context of our ambition to build EU Silicon Shield.
Hi, everybody. Well, in the 60s, Stanislav Lem wrote a very interesting story, which is called the History of 21st Century War, like from someone from the 22nd century writing it. And what he saw there was that war will become indistinguishable from peace and vice versa. That everything that is happening, like in nature, you either have to be the largest or the most adaptable to survive. And when there's chaos, the second ones survive. That's why the dinosaurs aren't around anymore. So what he saw was that this is the way war and civilization is moving forward too. Because of our interconnectivity, because of technology, because of us being one single civilization as it is right now, we're very vulnerable in all sorts of ways, whether it's the electricity, whether it's the quick response healthcare, and any system that we have can be broken. It can be broken very easily. That's vulnerability. If you go to war, say, it's going to be asymmetry. You have the United States and you have China, which are giants. Everyone else on the board has to play asymmetrical defense, which means they have to provide much more than money can provide, let me put it that way. You have to be 100 to 1 better, because you just can't solve it with money. You can't throw money and solve the problem. So what is on the way of Europe? It's adaptability and speed. My experience is with, say, VCs of Europe and VCs of United States. The United States VCs will take decision today, and tomorrow we'll have the money. The European version of that, 6 months later, 10,000 emails back and forth. That's the problem.
We will start negotiating.
It's not the size, it's the speed. And the reason there is a Silicon Valley, and it's on the western coast, it's because actually they moved away from the eastern coast where it was old business, slow business. That's why Silicon Valley appeared, because they wanted to do business differently. So right now, us Europeans are in the same situation as the East Coast companies and businesses. We need to find a way to be quick.
Thank you. Thank you with this. Would you like to compliment? I see your reaction to
yes, thank you. Just to say that I will add also ambition gaps of European companies, and European politicians, I would say also. So whether we want to have the next Google or Alphabet or Meta in Europe, certainly we want. And maybe some of you may know that actually Google DeepMind, so the next level artificial intelligence company of Google, actually was born in the UK, so in Europe.
Okay, well, I think with this we can conclude our first, let's say, pillar of our discussion by saying if we are to be successful and to build the European Silicon Shield, it is not a factory, in fact, to build. It's a multi-layered process. It's an ecosystem, and we need to be adaptive, and we need speed and ambition. This is the only way forward. And going deeper, we unfortunately in the last few years, and Draghi report, letter report, and what was on us recently, we acknowledge Europe's innovation gap, as we call it. So we need to think and to discuss and how can Europe compete further on, and can we compete without a flagship semiconductor, without an AI industrial anchor or not? And I will go directly to Mr. Dimitrov. You talk about vulnerabilities, but what is the most critical bottleneck in deep tech today? Is it research, scale, absence of flagship, apart from speed? A part of speed, which is clear.
It's definitely scale. We have the scientists, we have the engineers, we have the talent. Actually, statistically speaking, Europe has more than United States in every field. So we have that part of the equation. What happens, however, is the Commission being so proud that we're going to be creating sound boxes where there are no rules, but when you go outside the sound box, there are plenty of rules. So what happens is we create something new and incredible as a technology, and we move on the other side of the world. That's what's happening to, it's not just Bulgaria, it's everywhere, whether it's Germany or somewhere else. The fact is that DeepMind was a European technology, but now it's changing the world from the other side of the ocean. So that's one thing. The next is, if we want to talk about security, we really need to remove the CFOs from the equation. You cannot have the P&L be at the top of priorities. What I mean by that? It means that for you to make really good profit and be really successful financially, you decide to outsource critical production somewhere else. However, when there's conflict, that becomes a critical vulnerability, critical. And that is why right now in Ukraine, both sides pretty much are fighting with Chinese technology. I mean, they're doing some incredible stuff on both sides technologically. But the core of many of the stuff that they use, I mean, Ukraine will produce this year 8 million drones by itself. 8 million. However, a lot of those critical components in them are coming from China. Russia will produce probably about 6 million. Most of the critical components are coming from China. That's ridiculous. So we need to stop doing this.
Absolutely. What is the one catalyst Europe is missing in order to close the gap and to move forward in introducing its own industrial development?
Very difficult question, actually. I would say we're missing everything. We are missing talent. We do have, as Mr. Dimitrov just said, and I remember when I started my PhD back in 2000, the European innovation paradox was already well-established notion. So, and it still exists, which means that we do have a good talent pool that is producing a very good fundamental research, but we cannot commercialize this. So we miss this commercialization route for the talent. We miss the infrastructure still. Even there are some new investments in Europe, billions in investments actually for building new infrastructure. We miss also some of the tech champions. Even we do have companies that are working either on semiconductor. So the biggest global, on a global level, semiconductor manufacturing company is actually based in Netherlands. And many of the South Korean and Taiwan and Chinese semiconductor production facilities rely on their manufacturing equipment. But what we need is to overcome these silos that exist in the supporting policy and to have an integrated and well-coordinated policy in this field for talents, for building infrastructure, and for attracting investments.
Thank you. Professor Kim, what shall we do to prepare for the new era of AI? From your perspective?
From the viewpoint of outside EU, actually, frankly speaking, we often tell each other the European countries are a little bit lagged in this age of AI. And only one area EU is very active is just enacting AI bills, regulations. So then maybe a reflection of the sign of being lagged. So what can we do? Actually, I have no specific opinion. I'm not expertise in that area, but I would like to just provide how Koreans are doing. Just saying that we have 50 million population, okay, and the government is pushing and have established more than 10 AI graduate schools the last 5 years and supporting a lot of financial aid. Even though we have a very good programs in each university, the CS department and W department, they are all doing very well, I think, but the government did not it was not satisfied with it, just that they push it, just establish it, more than 10 specifically targeted AI graduate schools. And also company-wise, company-run, corporate-run AI schools is being established these days. Like in LG company, they established AI graduate school in there. So that, and also recently, maybe some of you already know, NVIDIA's Jensen Huang visited Korea a couple of weeks ago, and he promised to provide us the 260K, the latest GPU, right? And our government is emphasizing just a very tight collaboration between universities and industry, like Samsung, LG, Hyundai, and Naver, something like that. So I wonder if Bulgaria is also doing such kind of things. I'm curious about that. And so, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
That's what
well, speaking about strategic capital, as we already discussed and it was mentioned by Dobroslav, we need speak decision making and really ensuring the financing is flowing very quickly to our industry, to our companies. But and we know Europe is more or less risk averse. I mean, we need more riskier financing. We need to improve our risk culture, including some de-risking instruments. But if today, if you, and this is question to three of you, today you have 1 billion euro to invest in strengthening and ensuring our ambitions of establishing European Silicon Shield, where would you finance? Where would you deploy it first? Talent, we said we have talent, but is it industrial capacity or to scale? Where and why? Dobroslav?
Well, 1 billion sounds like a lot. It's actually nothing. So it can be for infrastructure. I mean, there's not that much you can buy with 1 billion when it comes to AI infrastructure. Talent we have. So investing in the companies that actually have technology that works and help them grow, and hopefully one day we have our own super giant companies, seems to be the most that makes sense.
Thanks. Todor?
As Mr. Dimitrov said, it's quite a small amount of money if we want to invest seriously. So probably in building talents for long-term efforts after that is the best investment of this amount. But I would say that actually we need to prioritize, and this should be the first choice of European leaders, to prioritize which which domain needs actually this money. So whether it's infrastructure, whether it's a talent pool, but it's difficult to say because each of them needs much more than 1 billion.
Professor Kim, maybe with the dimension, because the previous panel concluded that AI is heavily weaponized and we need to protect misuse of technologies of AI. What is your perspective?
Just first of all, I would like to emphasize that if I have to say, the European companies have to make investment into two sectors. One is developing your own foundation model. As I said, we cannot import and use other countries' foundation model. Who knows if there is a backdoor, right? That's very important. The second one is, of course, the security issue, because our current economy is run full of just AI. So if your AI system is attacked or ruined, our social the security will collapse actually. So, especially these days, the difference between these days and the past is, in the past, if one tried to attack your system, he should be able to know a lot of things, including computer programming, right? But these days, you don't have to know anything. You just use your text and try to deceive AI model, and you may succeed. So that means our AI-based economy is very shaky. So you have to develop your own security system, especially about detection technology, about jailbreaking or adversarial attack. Jailbreaking is to bypass or lower the safety guard of a large language model, while adversarial attack is to deceive AI models. Okay, that can be done easily. So you have to have your own security system. Yeah.
Because we are really short on time, well, ahead of time already, but we do have a couple of very interesting questions. So I would like to step in and address them to the panel. The first one actually follows up to what the professor was just sharing. Could you elaborate on the possibility of an AI-driven economic crisis? In the event of it, do you believe that our institutions are in fact prepared to respond to it, or will there be differences to our responses to previous crises like COVID-1 and the financial crisis of 2008? And the second question goes to Mr. Dimitrov, and it's very specific. Who has the greater leverage, China or the Netherlands? Namely the Dutch ASML versus China's brief export control on Nexperia's chips that provided crucial for automakers.
On the ASML question, obviously the one that actually makes the technology is with the leverage. And that's my point exactly, that we need verticalization. We need to have, if we want security, we cannot be dependent on countries that are outside the European Union. When it comes to security, you need to have physically the producible items done here if we want security. So yes, ASML cannot sell to China, but if they want to, they could. If you don't have technology, you've got nothing to sell.
Okay, I will try to answer the first question. So, citing actually something what Dobroslav just said, adaptability and speed. Particularly in the times of crisis, we need much higher adaptability and speed, not only in decision making, but also in technological response that we usually have here in Europe. So maybe this is something that we have to work on.
technological response.
Thank you. Within 30 seconds, I have to conclude, maybe, because we have 35 seconds on the screen.
I was just informed that one of our panelists for the next session is a bit late, so we can make use of the time.
Great. So one more question, or I conclude?
One more question,
Okay.
and goes to the regulatory oversight, and but also due diligence in support of economic resilience. Do you think it's applied evenly and to a degree which is enough, or do we should we in Europe specifically adapt more measures of control that target resilience?
Yeah, rules are fun. Let's make some more. I mean, we need to stop mixing two terms, standardization and rules. Standardization helps actually innovation. Rules kill it. And we really, we're a joke. I mean, the whole world is joking about European rules. We need to take a note about that. In a chaotic world, in a world that develops absolutely unpredictably quickly, by default, no institution and no rule can actually see what's about to happen. By default, that's the default. Therefore, we need to invest into how do we react to that thing that we couldn't think of, rather than try to guess and write yet more rules.
And just to add one sentence about building economic resilience, always when we have to do this, we should think about using the what we call constructive capital. So capital that is coming from countries that will not become, I would say, hostile to the democratic regimes in Europe and in the West.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, with this we can conclude. Maybe one sentence to conclude is that the European Silicon Shield could be built not by copying any model, but by creating our own based on our strengths, our values, and our knowledge and talent, which we do have. Because if we are able to align it all, the talent we have, the innovation capacity, the industrial coordination, we reduce the administrative burden and ensure faster financing, we can boost our economic resilience, strengthen our democracies, and use the technologies and shape the technologies rather being shaped by them. With this, thank you very much. Big round of applause for our speakers, and thank you very much for your attention.